Hi, my name is Tammy and welcome back to Tammy Vision. Today I am going to discuss Charm City, Episode 8, Monster. So let's get into it. So the episode opens up with Charm up late in the middle of the night sketching. And she talks about how when she was a small child, she would do the same. She would stay up to the wee hours of the night sketching. And she talks about how she loves the nighttime, how it's calming for her, and how she loves the stillness of night, and how she feels like nighttime is her time to shine. And I also share the same sentiment. I'm also a night owl. Late at night, when everything or everyone else is quiet, is when I feel the most creative. So she then goes to talk about the monsters under her bed that she was afraid of when she was a little child, like most children. But then she reveals that the real monsters are in her head. And for me, this is representative of there are times where we all get overwhelmed and we all need a place or a space to go and recharge, get away from the world, get away from everyone, and just pour back into ourselves and pull it together. So for me, when Charm states that she gets up in the middle of the night and likes to just sketch, it's her safe, quiet space that she needs that helps fuse her. And if you've ever watched Superman on the TV show Smallville, I remember when Superman, when he felt overwhelmed, he would go to this place. It was a very quiet and isolated place. It was snow everywhere. I can't remember exactly what he called or referred to this place as, but it was a place for him when he felt overwhelmed and things got too crazy for him to go back and center himself and remember himself. And sometimes I remember his father would speak to him in this place as well. So that's what that kind of reminded me of. This is where Charm, staying up late at night and sketching and doing something that she loves, is something that Charm needs at this point in her life and that we all need. So for the fact that it is present day and she is still up doing this in this particular episode lets us know that something is bothering Charm. It lets us know that something is heavily weighing on her mind, hence the name of the episode, Monster. So before we get to the next main scene, we see how the morning is getting started. We see Raven up as usual working. We see Charm at work early in the sewing room, sewing because remember they are preparing for a fashion show that was supposed to be weeks away. But then if you've been watching the season, you know that Beverly threw them a curveball and told them that the fashion show would be in a matter of days. So everyone is scrambling because their regular work schedule was thrown off. And we also see Blasi in the computer room, which is the girls' main working room. We see Blasi get a text from someone stating that it's her father's birthday and if she's going to be attending his birthday dinner tonight. And if you've been watching this season and Blasi's journey, you know that Blasi is at odds with her father. And then we also see a less glamorous Beverly attempting to go to work, but ultimately we see that she does not make it to work. And we can tell that something is weighing heavily on her mind. But who we do not see, who we always see, who's always there early and on time, is Avery. We do not see Avery just yet. So in the next scene, we finally catch up to Avery, who is confronting Strawberry, someone that she used to work with in a strip club that she used to work for. And if you've been watching the series up until now, you know that Avery used to be a bartender at the strip club before she got the internship at Embolden. But a lot of things transpired at the strip club leading Avery to quit. Some money was taken and there has been this big beef between Avery and the strip club situation and Strawberry from that point on. So this situation with Avery has been going back and forth for a while now, and Avery knows that this is the type of situation that will not go away until it is fully resolved. And Avery and Strawberry have a lot of history because they knew each other prior to them both working at the strip club. But this beef and this feud that Avery has with the strip club and Strawberry was bound to get to this point. For Avery, she feels like she has been trying to leave the strip club, leave this particular part of her life behind for a very long time, but Strawberry and her past from the strip club just keep catching back up with her. But Avery is smart enough to know that whether she took this money or not, she has to pay back this debt, because Avery, who has been in that environment for a very long time, she knows how the street life or street stuff goes. If you have a vendetta as such, you have to at some point put a button on it, or you have to find a way to resolve it, because if not, it's going to keep following you and can lead to more trouble, and Avery is very well aware of that. So let's talk about this money thing for a second. So why did Avery even take this money anyway, knowing what comes with something like that? So the whole reason that Avery took the money from the strip club anyway is because her and Strawberry got into it and she had to end up quitting the club, which was her main source of income. So she took the money kind of like, if I have to end up quitting, I still need money to survive. I still need money to send home to my family. It was kind of like survival money, because at that point she did not know what to do. But like I said, Avery knows if she really wants to break ties with the strip club, this whole money situation, and Strawberry, she's going to have to pay that money back. So then after Avery leaves the club, she calls Raven and say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit later than usual. But instead of telling Avery to come to work, Raven says, I need you to do me a little favor. She sends Avery to Beverly's house to drop off some things and some food. So I think this next scene is cool because we get to see inside of Beverly's personal space, her home, and even just seeing like little things like Beverly likes to eat Chipotle. On this show, Beverly is such a big character in her rank and in her attitude. And with those kind of characters, we don't often get to see a softer side of them, or we don't often get to see their personal private space. And if you've been watching closely, Beverly has always kind of hinted or alluded that she felt that her and Avery were kind of similar, that they had similar backgrounds. It's almost as if in this scene, Beverly was talking to Avery as if Avery was a version of her younger self. You can kind of get a sense without words that they had a similar background when growing up. And this leads Beverly to doing a great act of kindness towards Avery. And you can tell that Beverly really is observant when it comes to Avery and people and things. And you can tell that Beverly really understands Avery. And you can tell that Avery is someone that has always kind of had to do things for herself at a very young age. And she's not the type to ask for help, even if she really, really needs it, which is a disservice to her because we can see through many times in the series, Avery has needed help. And I get a sense that Beverly is or was a lot like that too, and that she had more of a rougher start to get to where she is today. And it's just kind of refreshing to see a softer side of Beverly. We usually see Beverly at odds with Raven. It's kind of like a push and pull kind of a relationship. But with Beverly and Avery, and especially with how she helped her, we kind of can see through the shell that Beverly carries, we kind of can see through to her heart. Or we can see the thing or the type of things that tug at Beverly's heart. So fast forwarding to the next scene, we see Blasi get another text message asking if she's going to be attending her father's birthday dinner. And we can tell by the grimace on Blasi's face that this is going to be difficult and uncomfortable, but unavoidable. Blasi did make the decision to go to her father's birthday dinner. And when we get to Blasi's family home, we really get to see what kind of a world Blasi comes from. Now, we always knew that Blasi came from money, but people can have money on different levels. In this episode, we see the level and the stature of money in which Blasi came from. This is not any just ordinary home. It's not just a big home. It's an estate where they have a whole perimeter of land. They have maids making their beds and cleaning their home. You just get a sense that Blasi's family is super well off, which for me put it all back into perspective when she was cut off from her father's wealth, because Imagine going from all of that wealth, and that's all you know. It's all you've known. And then getting dropped down to like almost nothing in a matter of days. So we gotta give Blasi some credit, because for me, she's handling this very well, considering, because you only know what you know. You only come from what you come from. So next we have the confrontation that I feel that everyone has been waiting on. Me as the writer and the actress in this series, I have been waiting on this confrontation. And I'm talking about the confrontation between Blasi and her father's fiance, Glinda. And here's a little behind the scenes of what goes on in my head. I named her Glinda, inspired by Glinda, the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz, because I always kind of felt in The Wizard of Oz that Glinda was not really as good of a person or a witch as she portrayed herself to be. The same for Glinda, Blasi's stepmom or her father's fiance. So if you've been watching, this relationship between Blasi and her father's fiance has been tumultuous. Glinda had and has a lot to do with why Blasi got stripped from her wealth and why there's a wedge between Blasi and her father. This lady has come into the family and she has inserted herself in such an invasive way. And of course, some viewers kind of felt like maybe she is helping Blasi, who comes off as a spoiled, rotten brat that needed a reality check. But there was always something a little more to Glinda from my view, just from me observing and watching the show. And Blasi and Glinda have been sparring for a while, but it is not until this episode we finally get to see Glinda, and we finally get to see Blasi and Glinda have that much needed face-to-face. And we get to see how Glinda, this lady, has affected not only Blasi's life, her family's life, but the life of her mother. And I can tell you, as an actor, from an acting standpoint, these are the kinds of scenes that we live for. A lot of being an actor or being in a scene, a lot of times there's always a conflict or something or someone standing in your way. There's always an obstacle that you have to overcome, because if it were not, the scene would be boring, right? We as humans, we gravitate towards drama or obstacles because it kind of helps us learn how we handle conflict in our own lives. So I was waiting as a writer for this scene, and I was waiting as an actor to really ground myself into this scene. And also as an actor, when we get a scene, we ask ourselves, what does our character want? And as a writer and an actor in this series, in the beginning it was simple. Blasi wants her wealth. She just wants her lifestyle back. Or sometimes it would shift to she wants her father back. But in this scene, I did not see her fighting for her wealth or fighting for her father. I saw her fighting for justice. I saw Blasi fighting for her mother. I saw Blasi stand up for her mother. So for me, it turned to Blasi wants justice. I feel like Blasi in this scene was saying things to Glinda that maybe her mother wanted to say or wish she could have said but didn't get the opportunity to say. And a lot of times when you are in a family or in a situation, or if you yourself are in a relationship where you have been cheated on or you have been left, and the new woman or new person comes in, is really gut-wrenching. And not only does Glinda come in, she comes in taking control and calling shots and saying, hey, we're going to do it this way. I run it now. And that's a problem. And it's not just a problem for Blasi because you've kind of taken over her life, you've kind of taken over her father, but it's also a problem because the way you came into this situation, you hurt my mother. And that's a big problem. So I feel like Blasi was making a stand, and she was standing up for herself, and she was standing on the side of right. And it's just kind of ironic that Glinda was telling Blasi all this time, you're a spoiled brat, you don't deserve all these things that your father has given you, get out there and work for yourself. But in the way that Glinda came into this relationship, does she even deserve all the things. I just kind of feel like Glinda, not saying that she's necessarily a gold digger, and whether or not she loves Blossie's father or not, she does recognize that she is engaged to a very wealthy and powerful man, and I felt like she is taking full advantage of that, and I feel like she wants to be that number one girl, because I feel like Blossie up until that point had always been her father's number one. And I think for Blossie in that moment to say, hey, I don't want any trouble, I'm just dropping off a gift, I'm gonna be on about my way, it shows that she came in with an unselfish approach. It wasn't about the money or wealth, it was more so about, I am doing what I'm comfortable with, I am doing what's right. And I see a lot of growth in Blossie. I don't see a girl fighting for her wealth or privilege anymore. I see a woman who is finding herself, and someone who understands the importance of being their own person, and someone who understands the importance of being independent. So we end the episode with Charm in the sewing room, and we don't see a lot of Charm in this episode, and that was by design. This episode was titled Monster because every character is battling something or someone or something in their head. Raven is battling Beverly and really her self-worth. And did y'all catch that Raven was looking for a job on the clock? Did y'all see that? We know that Avery is battling her past with the strip club. We know that Blossie is battling her father's fiance, and she's going through somewhat of an identity crisis. Beverly is battling control and maintaining this huge empire that she built, and a looming situation with her friend who is threatening to sue her and take it all. But with Charm, we know that she has been dealing with the loss of her home and trying to help her find her mother somewhere to live. That's been a big thing with Charm. But there's also some more trauma that Charm has been dealing with. We know that it kind of pertains to her father, but we don't know exactly what it was or is. We kind of see flashes come in and out of her head. We kind of see the pain behind her eyes. We see that Charm is very reserved. We also saw in one episode she has some nightmares pertaining to this traumatic event. So in this scene when Charm is in the sewing room and she's talking to her mother about the clothes that her mother sent her for the fashion show, when she lets her mother know that these clothes are for an upcoming fashion show, her mother doesn't say great or wonderful. She goes right to, you should have never stopped going to your therapy lessons. And you can hear the apprehension in Charm's mother's voice when she speaks of Charm and this fashion show. There is something with Charm and this fashion show. We do know that Charm is very passionate and very talented when it comes to making clothes and fashion. But if you go back to episode 1, why was someone this brilliant at fashion with this big of a passion sitting at home playing video games and not really working in her craft? Which brings us back to, there is something else going on with Charm. And it lets us know that whatever this is, that this is the real monster that Charm has been dealing with. So there are only 2 episodes left. And in the next episode, we are going to find out exactly what it is that has really been going on with Charm. As we get down to it, the questions that I have for you today are, of all the characters, who do you think is dealing with the biggest monster? And who do you think has what it takes to win the position at Emboldened Magazine? Please leave your thoughts and comments below in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for your patience and thank you for watching this series. And I will see you all in episode 9.